Good evening, everyone. It is both an honor and a pleasure to stand before you today to introduce our respected faculty member, Dr. Ashwini Kumar. Dr. Ashwini Kumar is presently working as an assistant professor in the biotechnology and bioinformatics area at our very own NIT University in Imrana. Prior to joining NIT University, Dr. Kumar worked as an assistant professor in the Department of Biotechnology at IMS Engineering College, Ghaziabad. Previously, he also worked as a lecturer in the Department of Biotechnology at the NIT Raipur. The central component of Dr. Kumar's research has been biomaterial science, more specifically in the field of novel drug delivery systems. The target applications of his research are formulating non-invasive and minimally invasive drug delivery approaches for better results, both in terms of pharmaceutics and patient compliance. His interest also lies in the field of tissue engineering and diabetes. Dr. Kumar has authored 22 journal articles in national and international journals, 8 book chapters, and a book. He also holds a patent from his work from PhD. Dr. Kumar has participated in over 35 conferences, seminars, workshops, and has presented his work in a few of them. He has been invited as a speaker and jury member on various national scientific platforms. He's been engaged as a reviewer with reputed journals from publishers such as Elsevier, Wiley, and Frontiers. He's a guest editor at Frontiers in Medical Technology, a focused journal from Frontier Publications. He is a life member of Asian Polymer Association and has also been engaged with a few scientific associations as a student member. Beyond his academic pursuits, Dr. Kumar is a multifaceted individual with a passion for sports and literature. So without further ado, put your hands together and let us extend a warm welcome to Dr. Ashwin.
Hmm? You can turn off your video now, sir. I've given you. Okay. But I need to share this. So, very good evening, everyone. So, I chose this topic because it's extremely close to my heart. When I started my PhD, so obviously is one thing that everyone talks about in during the research career, right? From masters to PhD, and then when you come to mainstream research. But gradually, during my PhD and after joining my full-time research career, I discovered, along with many others, that publication has many aspects, many faces. It's not visible there? Okay. Why? So you have to select the different window over there. How's that possible? Okay. Let's stop this. Just a second. That's visible? Okay. Thank you. So there was a technical glitch. Okay. So as we were just discussing, that publication has many faces. Some are good, some are bad. So I chose to speak on this topic. We would start with some good aspects of publication, and then we'll proceed to majorly the bad aspects. Okay. So broadly, the title will be Open Access Publications, Predatory Journals, and Fake Publications. Most of the things will be about fake. Okay. So these are the agendas. Why do we need to publish our work? What are open access publications? What are predatory journals and fake publications? And what are the guidelines related to overall publication scenario? Why do we need to publish? First question. Science is for the complete humankind. Whatever research we do in our lab, in our small world, we need to disseminate that knowledge to the world so that in case it has any potential for translation, it can be translated into something very useful for the humans. Again, knowledge dissemination. There are two aspects. While you do some research, you try to publish. That is one way of disseminating the knowledge. What we teach in class through a regular curriculum-based method, that is also another way of disseminating knowledge. We also need to publish, and we need to keep the pace with publication to get get updated with the recent findings in our domain particularly and in overall area. Then research is collaborative. And this is true for every domain, not only for my domain, particularly biotechnology, but research is collaborative. We cannot do isolated research because the first point, science is for the world, or research is for the world, and that's why it needs to be collaborative. Especially in academia, it's not a scenario in industry, but in academia, there are certain criteria or eligibility for promotional avenues. Publication is one of them, and we also publish for competition. So it's not that in my particular area I'm the only one who's globally. There are a lot of people who are, and there was it's a Hindi movie, and the sentence was research ek race hai. So if you think that is a race, you have to be in that competition. Okay. So the act of putting your research paper will help you clarify your goals for the research. It will pave the way. What do you want to do next after you compile all your work that you have done? Peer review gives you important feedback on the validity of your research approach and can provide insight on next step for advancing and interpreting your work. So whenever we compile our work and we send the paper to a journal, it is received by one of the editors, and following a basic check, the editor sends that paper to a set of people, a set of researchers who are from the same domain, to cross-check whatever you have presented in the manuscript, whether it's good or bad, or in terms of methodology, in terms of scientific rigor, what all points are there. Those experts who are normally not known to the author are peer reviewers. Peer-reviewed publication provides evidence that helps in evaluation of merit of the research funding request. This is another reason, one of the reasons why do we need to publish, to ask for the grants from the government so that we can proceed our research. And peer-reviewed publication is a of hallmark that process your work is now published. So that is some kind of credibility. Communicating the information that you have found will help other researchers advance their work, thus building on the body of knowledge that exists in a field. Broadly, we discuss the role of research. There are two things. One, to add to the existing knowledge. That means you create a new knowledge or you create a solution or a product. So through your research, someone else can find the base to carry out his or her research. That is also very important. And that's why the first point was sciences or research is for the humankind. Writing and publishing puts your research into larger context. Obviously, after it is published, it gets a wider reach globally. Your published paper can help in public understanding of the research question. What question you have tackled in your publication is not the end of that, because research is a never-ending thing. So that will pave the way for the next question, whether you ask that or someone else asks. So it's like standing on the shoulder of the giants. It's true for every domain of the research. It helps advance your career as you are considered for academic appointments and promotion, as we discussed. Publishing helps establish you as an expert in a field of knowledge. So rather than going for random publication, so this was a very common scene during COVID. There were a lot of people who were from completely different research domain. They were publishing papers on COVID, because at that time, globally, it was announced that anything you publish on COVID will be freely accessible, and so it would take no time to get published. Therefore, I know people from environmental biology, from evolutionary biology, from plant publish thoroughly on COVID. But then that won't establish you as an expert in your domain. That is a very bad distraction. Okay. So there are some methods or some approach for publication. In the traditional method, we compile our result, we put it into form of a structured manuscript, we'll send it to a journal, and there are editors from each domain. If a journal is a multidisciplinary journal, there are editors from each domain. One of the editors is assigned randomly by the journal. The editor does a basic cross-check about the structure of the paper. Then the manuscript is sent to the experts from the same domain. They are called peer reviewers. Your manuscript goes under a lot of scrutiny. You get a lot of comments from those peer reviewers, and it can be a cyclic process, not only one-time review. After everything is done, the editor, so when you get the reviews, you have to defend those points. When you defended those points pretty well, and if the editor thinks that it's done for now, it's good to go for publishing. So this traditional method takes a lot of time. Generally, you can't think of getting your paper good results published within a month or two. So it normally takes 6 months or maybe a year. This was a method. There are a lot of drawbacks of this traditional method. One is time-taking. It's a time-taking method. Another is competition, as we have just discussed. So the peer reviewers are obviously from your own domain. Now they would definitely want your paper to get stuck in this process so that they can advance their research. And this is a very common scenario in research. And there are all together a lot of drawbacks. So to cut out those drawbacks, there was another method, there was another approach in publication that is called author-driven publication. And it started around in 1991 with a publication domain which is called archive, ARXIV. These kind of domains are called preprints. That means you don't directly send to the conventional journal. You compile your manuscript, send to, there are many preprint servers. You send to one of the servers. Now it is in the public domain. You get an identification number also. Now, because it is in public domain, anyone can review that. Obviously, person from not that domain won't review that. It would take a lot of time. But anyone from the domain can now publicly review. You can see the comments publicly and you can improve upon based on those comments. One benefit is that because it gets identification number, it is as good as a conventional publication. You get all the comments real time. You can improve in no time. It is one of the quickest way of getting published. But there is again drawback. Everything has a drawback. So these kind of preprint servers have also their share of drawbacks. Especially in the field of biology, researchers are a bit skeptical in putting their manuscript in preprints because they think their work will be stolen. So that is one of the psychological aspects. Most of the people from biology, especially, don't put their manuscript into preprints. But it's a good thing to do. Okay. So this is science meme alert. So there was a paper in Nature. Nature is one of the most prestigious journals across the domain. The growing inaccessibility of science. And this paper was itself inaccessible. Okay. It's a very popular meme. But after it got a status of meme, Nature made this paper accessible. Okay. So one of the topic of this talk is open access. So when we conventionally put our paper into journals, it goes through all the scrutiny process. Most of the journals earlier had, before internet came into being, that there were only hard copies of journals available to the library, and library was the only source where we can get our research to read. But and at that time, most of the journals were subscription based only. Library was the center that would subscribe the journal, and anyone can go to library and read that. After internet came into being, all the journals shifted to two phases of the system. One is subscription based and one open access. We still have a lot of subscription-based journals. Some journals, most of the journals are again have these two things, subscription-based or open access. But there are other journals who are completely open access. So when we talk of open access, it means your work is freely available for the public to read. It's not behind the paywall. And if your research is freely available for people in your domain to consider that it will have some charges, because publishing is a very costly domain. So they have some charges known as article processing charge, APC, which they take from the author itself. APCs are normally very hefty. So many of the journals from Nature Group have APC equivalent or more than the salary of an associate professor in Indian academia. So that is one drawback of open access. If the journal is completely open access, you can't think of paying that APC unless until you have a hefty grant from the government. Open access was done for good, so that the science can be available freely. But gradually, the other side of the coin was, because the articles which were freely accessible were getting more citations, people were talking more about them. The researchers whose paper were not freely accessible, they were feeling something lacking from their domain. Like, I'm not getting the citation and he or she is getting more citation, or his or her work is more talked about in the domain. That psychology resulted in popping up of many, I use the term fuzzy journals. So fuzzy is a Urdu word, but they are fuzzy journals, purely fuzzy. And they mushroomed up gradually, especially within last 10 to 15 years. They also have a APC. You can bargain a lot on their APC. So the good journals like Nature, Science, or Cell, if they have APC, you can't bargain on that. They are extremely reputed. But with these fuzzy journals, or my PhD supervisor used to call that overnight journal. You send a paper today, and the next morning your paper will be published without any scrutiny, whether it's a bogus paper. There are a lot of examples. People have deliberately put bogus papers to point out that this journal is a fuzzy journal. There are a lot of examples. So they mushroomed up, and currently we have more than 1,000 of such journals which incur some APC and will get your paper published within a day. But that would kill the research. That would kill the science. So open access literally means free access to information and unrestricted use of electronic resource for everyone. Before internet came into being, the journals which were subscribed by the library, they were already open access because it was in the hard copy. After internet, people use the paywall kind of thing. So if you can pay charges for your paper, it will be open access to the public. If you can't pay, it will be in the subscription mode. A publication is considered in open access if its content is universally and freely accessible. The author or copyright owner irrevocably grants to all users for an unlimited period the right to use, copy, or distribute the article on condition that proper attribution is given. It is deposited immediately in full and in suitable electronic form in at least one widely and internationally recognized open access repository committed to the open access platform. So these are some of the conditions where we can say a journal is an open access journal. Again, drawbacks. So paying hefty amounts for each article. And so I hope you can recall the advertisement by a Scooty brand. Why should boys have all the fun? So why should Buildy Labs have all the fun? And that kills the average lab or lab who don't have any funding. And subscription rates are rising. I think Vinay sir can very well tell about this. How subscribing journals is a tedious task and very costly task. Okay. Now there are three models of open access. One is gold open access. So in any journal, if you see, normally in fuzzy journals, you won't see these three terms. In authentic journal, you could see either it's open access, gold open access. That means it has only open access model. It doesn't have any subscription model. So you want to get your article published, that you have to pay the APC. That's all. There is green open access, which involves publishing a traditional subscription journal as usual, but articles are also self-archived in the repository and usually made available after an embargo period. So if you see this term green open access, most of those journals have an embargo period of 12 months. That means if your article is accepted and published, it will be behind paywall for 12 months. After that embargo period, it will be made publicly accessible. And there is a hybrid model, either subscription or open access. It's as simple. So this was from this is a snapshot from Nature Communications, one of the most reputed journals. So it says it's open access. All articles published in Nature Communications are made freely and permanently available online immediately upon publication, without subscription charges or registration by it. Now, if it's completely open access, they don't need to subscribe that. Every article published in those board open access journals are completely accessible. Then you can see it's from Biomaterial Advances, one of the premier journals from Elsevier. It has a board open access and a subscription model both, whatever you choose. This is again a snapshot from Integrative Medicine Research. And this is one from Drug Discovery Today. It says about embargo period. So for the 12 months, your paper will be behind the paywall. So anyone who wants to read those papers, he or she needs to pay. And after 12 months, your paper will be publicly accessible. Okay. There are different aspects of open access publication. So the more exposure of your work, more people, practitioners can apply your findings. If it is a clinical paper, the clinicians who are into practice, they can apply your findings if they are good. Higher citation rate, obviously. If it is accessible, more people can access, you will have more citations of your work. Your research can influence policy. So policy doesn't mean only economics or those areas, even there are science policy also. Like DST is involved in science policy. So your research can influence a lot of policies on the government level. Public access of finding, obviously compliant with grant rules. So many grant agencies or grant bodies, they ask for your publications in authentic journals, whether it's open access or subscription, but it doesn't matter, but they ask for that. Taxpayers get value for money. So if there is any chance of translation of your work, because science is from the taxpayers' money, so they get a value for their taxes. And researchers in developing countries can see your work. So if it is fully accessible, even people in developing countries or underdeveloped countries, they can fully access your work without giving a hefty amount. Now, I hope many of you have heard of index. Journal is indexed into SCI or SCIE or SSCI. So, and there's another term called impact factor. These two terms were introduced to arrange the journals before internet era in library in particular order. Sorry. Now, after internet came and there were online model of journals, indexing got a new phase. Currently, we have a lot of indexing services. In science, we generally talk about SCI, Science Citation Index. There is an extension of SCI, which is called Science Citation Index Expanded, SCIE. There is a step lower than SCI, which is called ESCI. There are SSCI, Social Science Citation Index. But on the other hand, many people talk of Scopus indexing. So Scopus is not an indexing service, it's an abstract database. There are journals whose abstract are available on Scopus. Scopus will be shown on their website, but Scopus technically is not an indexing service. Like PubMed. PubMed is not an indexing service, it's a database. And get all the medical related articles. So we'll talk in detail about those indexing services. So to start a journal, you have to apply for a particular number, which is called ISSN. For books, it is ISBN. Publishing schedule available online and adhere to. So whatever your protocol says and whatever you have decided for your journal, if you want to start a journal, you have to adhere to those protocols. Conflict of interest statement published for all articles online. So this is one of the crucial things that is declared on every article, that is conflict of interest. Conflict from all domains, from any industry, from any other researcher, from the editor itself, if any editor is there in that editorial board of the journal. So there are a lot of conflict of interest. Transparent editorial board information provided. So if you are choosing 10 people from different domains or from the same domain to be included in your editorial board, you have to submit all the information about them. and you have to take their permission also. There cannot be any ghost editor. So for all the fuzzy journals, there are a lot of ghost editors. So people don't know that they are in the editorial group, and their name just sells. Information published in the guide for authors on peer review, copyrights, ethical statements. Whether an authentic journal or a fuzzy journal, there will be a document or set of protocols which is called guide for authors. So when you want to send your manuscript to that journal, you have to adhere to those protocols, and that is called guide to authors. Indexing is a collection of items gathered for a certain reason. Journal indexing are collections of journal titles grouped by discipline, subject, and publishing type. So if we talk of SCI, Science Citation Index, we cannot put a social science journal in that. When we talk of SSCI, Social Science Citation Index, we cannot put a science journal in that. As simple as that. So it's just grouping. Now, journals must adhere to some key publication requirements to be included in their academics index, all the indexing services. One is ISSN, one is DOI, Digital Object Identifier. So it's the unique number that is assigned to a manuscript, and it is one of the hallmark of a manuscript. So if you don't want to refer to the manuscript through the title, you can just put the DOI over Google and it will get you the manuscript. It is completely specific to one particular manuscript paper. A defined publication schedule, you have to showcase on your website what is the schedule of your publication. Copyright policy, again mandatory, and metadata at the article level. Now come to indexing services. This is very interesting. One is Web of Science. There is an agency called Reuter, and there was a domain of Reuter called Thomson Reuters. So the Web of Science service is an umbrella term that was started by Thomson Reuters, and it publishes annually a report which is called Journal Citation Report, JCR. JCR is the listing of all the journals into SCI, SCIE, or ESCI. So every year around 25th or 26th of June, the JCR is published. Web of Science has again SCI, Science Citation Index, Social Science Citation Index, Arts and Humanities Citation Index, Science Citation Index Expanded, Emerging Science Citation Index. So this is a service for journals who are not in SCI or SCI list. But if so, now the Web of Science domain is taken up by another company which is called Clarivate Analytics. So Thomson Reuters has shifted that Web of Science. Now, if Clarivate considers a journal to be performing good, but it's currently not in SCI or SCI list, it gives a particular window to that journal, especially in science. That is around 3 or 5 years. Within that window, if the journal is doing good, it is publishing good science, then after that embargo period, the journal is considered for SCI listing. So SCI was the original one. When the number of journals increased, Thomson Reuters created another list which is called SCI. So all the SCI journals are in SCI, but there may be certain SCI journals which are not in SCI. Now there are ESCI journals. If they do good for that embargo period, they will be considered for SCI. Then we have Book Citation Index for books especially. Then there are certain other terms that you may frequently see over websites or the journals. There is Chinese citation database, Korean Citation Index, CLO Citation Index, which is especially for journals from Brazil, Spain, Portugal, and the Caribbean and South Africa. Then we have Scopus and DOAJ. Though Scopus is not an indexing services, but people consider that. DOAJ is a directory of open access journals. So if you are starting a journal and we wish to have your journal completely open access, you have to apply for DOAJ certification. So your journal will be listed into the DOAJ website. So all the journals who are either fully open access or have a hybrid model are into DOAJ website. Then now we have database, which are not indexing services. We have PubMed for medical science journals, articles. We have EBSCO. We have PLOS, Public Library of Science. So PLOS also have a lot of journals. Them. We have Google Scholar, again journal website that it is the papers are indexed in Google Scholar. Simply consider it a fuzzy journal. Then we have JSTOR, we have Semantic Scholar. Yeah, so these are the databases. They are not indexing services. having your work published in an index journal is always good. But again, if you consider publishing your work in EBSCO indexed or Google Scholar indexed, that is completely, I should not use the word wrong, but that's not good. Okay. Now, when publication became a very important aspect for promotional avenues in there was a term still used, publish or perish. Either you publish a lot or you will perish from the system. Now, to remain in the system, people are starting publishing randomly. Any bogus article, anything that they can compile and put into Word, Microsoft Word, send it to a fuzzy journal and they will publish. Even if an authentic journal, it's not from a domain, I consider that a kind of not required kind of thing. So most scientists regarded the new streamlined peer review process as quite an improvement. So till your paper is accepted, you will have to go through a lot of things. This is normal. The scrutiny method, which is available with the conventional journal system, it's good. Then the evolution in academia. So it was published. When people only did science for the sake of science, you have some data, because of curiosity, you find something new, compile it, publish it. That was only for publishing. Then publish or perish, when it became a mandatory requirement for promotion. Then publish in high impact journals or perish. So now there are a lot of stress also, I would say, that you have to publish in a high impact journal. I know a lot of universities globally that have their mandate during PhD that you have to have at least 2 papers in impact factor higher than this number to have your PhD. So that is a pressure. Then publish frequently in high impact journals and maybe you won't perish. So there's a lot of pressure, obviously. So it's again a meme. Professor Mathwit didn't publish, so perished. That's not true, but okay. And this publish or perish pressure gave rise to predatory journals. Predation, to eat up something. And that was one of the reasons of mushrooming of predatory journals. And it came very suddenly. Mr. Beagle, sorry, I cannot recall the university name, but he compiled a list of journals which were completely bogus. They would just attract, say that we would publish your research within 2 days. Just have to pay this money. And abroad, in a lot of good researchers also who are trapped into this. I know many of them personally. So they would pay, get their paper published, and now they are into the race. So Mr. Beagle compiled a list of maybe around 1,000 of such journals and termed that list as predatory journal list. And you can still find out that on Google. The list is obviously revised twice or thrice, but currently it is in public domain. There are a lot of journals who are predatory. So the primary thing is to have an idea out of curiosity or out of your open mind. Then you create a hypothesis through those ideas. You perform some experiments to validate those hypotheses, and that is normally how research is done. And then publication, because it has to come to the public. Now, authors send their paper to manuscript to journals or preprint servers. There are reviewers who do all the reviewing, and then your paper is published. Now, the game is between in this domain, journal and reviewers. So if everything is good, it's approved, quality check. But if it is a predatory journal, your money and hard work is gone. So predatory journals and publishers are entities that prioritize self-interest at the expense of scholarship and are characterized by false or misleading information, deviation from the best editorial and publication practices, a lack of transparency, and the use of aggressive and indiscriminate solicitation practices. We'll have a lot of examples today. Okay. So there are predatory journals who claim that your article will have a DOI. DOI granting bodies I don't know how they managed to get a DOI, but having a DOI is one of the proof that your article is authentic. Impact factor, again, it was coined to arrange the journals in library. So it's a scientometric index calculated by Clarivate, now Clarivate, earlier Thomson Reuters, that reflects the yearly mean number of citation of articles published in last 2 years in a given journal, provided under the umbrella of Web of Science. I won't go with the history of impact factor. It's again a separate story. So for a new journal, it's normally 3 years before you get the first impact. It may exceed also. Many journals with reputed publication with no impact factor even after many years. So there are a lot of examples with reputed publication houses such as Elsevier, Wiley. There are journals which are there for long, but they don't still have their impact factor. Now there is site score. It's again one of the cytometric number, but impact factor is considered more authentic or more valuable than site score. It was started by Elsevier separately. Okay. Now, how to find out which journal is fuzzy and which is authentic? So one of the simplest way is to go to their website. You would see a lot of pomp and show over the website. There will be many attractive pictures and a lot of things. You may find phone numbers of the journals. You may find LinkedIn profile or Instagram profile for their link. If you see any kind of these things, it's completely fuzzy, completely predatory. So this was the list created by Sukhbir, and then he will updated that list. So currently there are around 10,406 independent journals and around 11,306 legitimate. Okay. So there are certain catch points that if you see these points over the website of journals, just close the journal, close the website. No need to go ahead. Firstly, global impact factor. There's no authentic term like global impact factor. If you see something like this, either written completely or like GIF, just close down the website. No need to go ahead. There's nothing called journal impact factor. It's only impact factor. There's again nothing called impact. So these are all misleading terms. There's nothing journal H index. H index is a matrix again calculated by Google Scholar, and that is for individual researchers. If a journal says it has its own H index, just close down the website. There's nothing called journal I index again. I index again is a number calculated by Google Scholar. There's no journal I index or institutional I index, nothing as such. Then ISI index. If you see these 6, just close down the website. If you again see something like this, CAS, Publons, Road, Europod, CNK, again you can think of closing down the website. So these are some of the matrices that you can see over journal website. You will see these numbers both on predatory and authentic websites. Now you have to decide through a lot of factors which is predatory and which is authentic. Just to show some example, this is one of the predatory journals. So you can see fast delivery and there is an aeroplane sign. So there's some kind of overnight express courier service. You send your manuscript, you will get your published paper. Best price. It's not Amazon. They would bargain a lot over APC. So if you see something like this, they're shut down. Now this is from another journal. It says it's an international platform for researchers, inventors, scientists, engineers, managers, doctors, professors, everyone on the earth. You just send your paper, anything written, they will get it published. This is another one. So it publishes everything from physics, math, chemistry, zoology, botany, biotech, geology, military science, environment, every interdisciplinary thing. Just avoid them. Again, another screenshot. So it writes UGC approved journal. Now, these are the things that you can see high impact. There's nothing high impact factor. These are all related. So in biological science, the highest impact factor is for CA Cancer Journal. It's around 600. But you won't find that high number for other domains. And that's why it's extremely difficult for us to publish in biology. because there are a lot of race in that. But there's nothing called high impact factor. Google Scholar Index, again, as we discussed, Google Scholar is not an indexing service. Fast publication in 2 days, fast delivery, home delivery. And the free, no authentic journal or publication house provides you a certificate for your publication. If on any social media platform like LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook, if you see someone is showing their certification or publication, it's 100% they are trapped. See these kind of attractive figures over the website. It's again, so there is a Google search engine also given. A lot of things, invitation for innovative research papers, reviews, mini reviews, short communication, inviting national and international conference, anything that you can think of, they will just put on their website. So there was a video also, and that's why it's Adobe Flash Player. I don't know why would someone paste a video over their website, a journal. This is from another journal. Okay, so global journal impact factor, again, a catchy term. Just don't fall for that. This I got very recently, so I just marked something. So index perpendicular or SDRH index, there's no such term. So this is a term that you will find in Google, but that's not authentic. Covered by Wikipedia. Why would Wikipedia cover an authentic journal? It covers everything under sun. There's no reason for an authentic journal to be covered by Wikipedia. British Library is not a indexing or abstract service. I don't know which University of Britain they are talking about, but it's another catch. Okay. Now these are some legitimate journals. You can just compare these images from these images. These look good. So this is from Journal of Biotechnology from Elsevier. This is from Wiley Biotechnology Journal, Applied Microbiology. This is from Springer. This is from Nature. These look good. They don't have those catchy words or phrases. Okay. And to remain in the race, so you have to publish or you will perish. So there is another term very commonly coined nowadays. It's called paper mill. So everyone knows mill. It is a manufacturing unit to produce something in large scale. So papers are also manufactured nowadays. So I would say manufactured. There are a lot of bogus papers, fake papers. So what is a paper mill? The process by which manufactured manuscripts are submitted to a journal for a fee on behalf of researchers with the purpose of providing an easy publication for them. And there are authorship for sale. And widely, it's not hidden somewhere. If you just type authorship for sale over Google, authorship for sale Twitter, you will get hundreds of Twitter that are selling authorship positions. So what motivates author? Again, the pressure to be in the race. This paper mill is also a very common trend among clinicians. So obviously, because India has a very poor ratio of patient and doctor, and now they also have a pressure to get promotion, and publication is one of the eligibility criteria. They do a lot of those kind of bogus publications. Okay. So you can see this was from Twitter. I got it from Twitter. So it says 100% Scopus index guarantee. Springer conference series. Even the title is available. An artificial intelligence-based technique for optimizing electric vehicles performance. And all these slots are available. Manuscripts, उनका यही काम है दिन भर, and they would publicly put down those details over social media, and anyone can get trapped. So this was over, I think, Facebook, posted on 23rd December 21. Available position of authorship second for 850 currency, I don't know. Third position for 800, fourth for 750. Title of the work was Development of Hybrid Machine Learning Model for Simulation of Chemical Reactors in Water Treatment Application. Impact factor is 5.2. I don't know how they access the authentic journals, but they are there. They are deep into the authentic journals also. There are total 11 author positions available for this particular title, and this was published. They're not fake. Look, the work is fake, but they do publish. And if you get trapped, your name will be there in this for your lifetime. You cannot go away with that. Again, it's for $75 US. Third author, fifth author, seventh author. Title is fixed, and it is so. Someone replies to that. As a third author, do I need to contribute anything in writing? Or the person who posted said, no, sir, you don't need to write anything. You just include your name. You just pay, include your name, and work it. And this is published. And so there are a lot of examples. Why would someone pay $950 US for such fake things? But they are openly publicizing that the paper will be published in the Elsevier journal, one of the journals from Elsevier, and Q1 also. So the title is already fixed and it is published. And it says original article. I don't know what originality it has got. Now, it is another advertisement. Join the team of authors of the paper on the application of artificial neural network, blah, blah, blah. And this is the cost. And they have also, this is actually very surprising. They mentioned the publication houses also publicly. So it's very easy to get trapped. It is published. And doesn't have any logic in this particular title. Okay, so this is my email snapshot. That's one of the drawbacks of being active in research. So I do get a lot of such things. So it said, hello, sir, ma'am. If you get something like this, that they have not they have not done a background check, whether I'm a male or a female, then they will just write hello, sir and ma'am. It is a UGC care approved Group 2 journal. Google is for indexing. Our journal published backdated papers also. They are so confident. So, yes. I was just discussing this predatory publications over Twitter. So I'm only active on that. Extremely active, in fact. So one of my Twitter acquaintances sent me his experience. He was continuously getting such offers. So from different domains, from to the same person, and there was something which was common to all the 4 offers which I am showcasing. If you can see the marked, it says, please send in research paper, review paper, mini review, or case study. We believe that the 2-page paper will not be too time consuming for someone of your caliber if you have short notice. So they do such things very officially also. It's the same clause that is written. It's for biophysics. This is for insight in biology and medicine. This is for innovations in cell communication and signaling. And this one for advances in toxicology and toxic effects. They were sending to the same person continuously with the same clause. This I got personally over my email. So someone was inviting me as a speaker in a gynecology conference. I don't know what I would do in gynecology conference. But they were confident, more confident than me. Again, I got, and they mentioned beloved Ashwini Kumar. So yeah, so we'll see something like this. Dear prestigious emeritus professor, blah, 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 just close down or delete them. But I keep the snapshot of such mail. These are very interesting. And they were inviting me for a webinar on AI, ML, data science, and robotics. I don't do anything on these domains. They again asked me to submit something on microbiome and research. And if it is visible, the journal name is Nature Cell Science. So Nature is a separate journal, separate publication house, extremely reputed. Cell is another, and Science is another. These 3 are cutthroat competitors in biological sciences. And there's a fuzzy journal with the name Nature Cell Science. And there are a lot of people who are trapped in that. Okay. Again, not only mail, they send me such offers on my WhatsApp also. All the seats are, some seats are booked, some are RSE, some are waitlisted. So that was for a IEEE Explore Scopus Index in a conference which is going to be held in March 24. Because of this predatory journal trap and this race of publishing anything just to increase your numbers, your metrics, we can, if we keep our eye open, we can see a lot of such examples. So someone just got a new position as assistant. I just highlighted what assistant. Completed PhD in microbial biotechnology in 4 years, 1923. And in those 4 years, this person published 67 papers. I don't know काम कब कर रहे थे. As a research scholar, you need to do some work, get the data, discuss with your supervisor, then you can compile it and then you can send that. In 4 years, if you are publishing 67 papers, that is definitely something wrong. This is a very interesting, I just saw this 2 days back. If you wish, I can share the link also. Medium is an open platform where people can write up their pieces. The title is The Ghost of Stronzo Bestiale and Other Fake Scientific Authors. Fake scientific authors. It is a very curious and interesting scenario. Some 40-50 years back, there was a researcher, authentic researcher, who was trying to publish something, but every time he was getting rejected by the journals. Then he was into a party perhaps, and he overheard someone talking about this word, Stronzo Bestiale. And then he thought it's a good, so it was, he was from Italy, and he thought it's a good word. I don't know, being an Italian, how he would not know what is Stronzo Bestiale. I cannot say that in today's session, but you can anyway, anytime Google that. And the papers that were getting rejected, he put Stronzo Bestiale as one of the authors, and the paper was published. You can just write it down. It's a very interesting thing. If you could Google that, Stronzo Bestiale, you would come to know what that means. Okay. Now, to fight with those kind of predatory journals and fake publication, what you can do, or what are your responsibilities? There is a committee called Committee on Publication Ethics, or COPE in short. All the authentic journals need to have all the guidelines with this COPE body. If you find someone is deviating, whether a journal or an individual researcher deviating from the guideline, there are a long list of guidelines based on different factors, different domains. If you find any journal or a publisher or a researcher deviating from those guidelines, if you come across any fake publication, any predatory journals, you can easily file a complaint with the COPE, and they would definitely give you a hearing. So before a journal is put into public, if you want to start a new journal, you have to adhere to the COPE guidelines. That's an international body, and it covers all the journals published from anywhere on the earth. So you can file a complaints and appeals. You can, if you think the data are not reproducible, you can also file for data reproducibility. You can fight for intellectual property if you find some fake authorship. So there are fake authorship on patents also, not only papers. There are a lot of patents also for sale. So if you find anything like that, you can file a complaint for that also. So a lot of different guidelines from COPE. Now, this is the last slide, and that tells about the research ethics. So there are ethical things. While I was doing my PhD, there was a talk on research ethics. There was a scientist who was working with the Chhattisgarh government. And during his talk, he used a sentence, and I still very well recall that. For ethical guidelines or ethics, personal ethics or research ethics, he told, अंत में आपको दो लोगों को जवाब देना है, खुद को और खुदा को. So that's why you have to be ethical. Thank you. Sir. Sir. A good day.